Peyote stitch is the workhorse of bead stitching. You can work it in flat patterns or in the round. Flat peyote is used to create jewelry, pictures, and many other items. It's useful in making foundations for other stitched patterns. Peyote in the round is often used to enclose cabochons, which are larger crystals or stones without holes, and can also be used to create amazing three-dimensional pieces. A beaded toggle clasp can be created using flat peyote for the bar and peyote in the round for the ring. Seed beads are used in peyote stitch. The most widely used are Japanese cylinder beads, delicas from the Miyuki Company, and treasures from the Toho Company. These extremely uniform beads are tiny tubes with thin walls and large holes, qualities that make them highly suitable for weaving. You can fit lots of thread inside a cylinder bead. Czech and Japanese rounded seed beads are also suitable. These are more oval in shape than cylinder beads and create a slightly different look. Here's a sampling of appropriate sizes for peyote stitch. Nylon beading thread is very good for peyote stitch, and it's available in a variety of weights and colors. Unless you're using beads with very small holes, use a medium weight nylon, such as Nymo brand, in size B or D. Fireline, a fine but strong fishing filament, can also be used in designs where strength and rigidity are needed. You'll need needles that match the size of your beads, usually size 10 or 12. Designs for peyote stitch are mostly charted, though some patterns are given in plain text. For both flat and round peyote stitch, you'll start with a fairly long thread, a yard or more. For flat peyote, you can use a stopper bead, which will keep the beads on the thread until the weave is established, after which you'll remove it. If your pattern is an even number of beads wide, thread on the first 2 rows, starting with the outside bead of row 2. Now pick up the first bead of the 3rd row. Skip 1 bead and run the thread through the next bead on the thread. Continue across the row, adding beads in the charted order, skipping 1 bead with each addition. By the end of the row, a zipper tooth pattern will emerge. Now continue working back and forth, adding rows according to your chart. To end a thread, secure it in the weave by reversing direction a few times. This is best done at the end of a row. To add a new thread, secure it in the weave as well, and bring it out in position to start the next row. If your pattern calls for an odd number, you'll work the ends of the rows a little bit differently. Start with the first 2 rows again, but this time, begin with the outer bead of row 1. Reverse direction as for even count peyote, but when you reach the end of the row, you'll go through 2 beads instead of 1. The row's not complete yet. We need to add the last bead. Let's make the end beads transparent so you can see the thread path. It will resemble a figure 8. The goal is to make the thread emerge from this last bead in proper position to start row 4, pointing in the right direction. Now we'll stitch row 4. When we add row 5, we'll make the same figure 8 path as for row 3. This path will happen at the end of every other row. You may notice a diagonal stepped line on charts for peyote in the round. This line marks the start and end of each round. The weave starts with an initial ring, again formed by threading on the first 2 rows. To create the ring, run the thread through the first few beads after the initial threading. Follow your chart and pick up 1 bead, then skip 1 bead on the ring, and run the thread through the next bead. Continue in this manner all around until there are 3 beads left, and your thread emerges from the first of these 3 beads. Now pick up 1 bead in pattern. This is the last bead of the round. Run the thread through the last of the 3 empty beads, and then diagonally through the first bead you added in the new round. This part of Peyote Stitch is called stepping up, and positions your thread correctly for the next round. Continue adding rounds according to your charted design, stepping up as needed. End threads and add new threads in the same manner as for flat peyote.